those who can do and teach. Have you ever heard that? And it's, it's suggesting like, if you're good at that thing, you don't have to teach because you'll just go do it, right? But it's dumb. It's a completely bogus idea. And I think a lot of people go stagnant. There's a lot of people like they might be good at something and then have some success, and then they stop learning, and teaching is learning, and they just make the same thing until nobody wants it anymore, right? I think I know a lot about my subject area, and importantly, what's important to me is I know I've done a lot. So that to me is my strength, and the more I can bring that into the classroom, I think that that's what I have to offer more than anything else. But in terms of like actual pedagogy, which is like the science, the practice of teaching, if you have knowledge, no one will sort of doubt your abilities. If you're clear about expectations, you don't have to be aggressive or angry. It's just very clear what you're asking people to do. And then if you yourself are organized, again, it's simple. So if you're sort of thought of as a nice person and someone takes advantage, or it seems to be trying to take advantage, you can just say really clearly, like, look, this isn't about whether I like you or not. This is simply that these were the objectives. Here's what you did. That's all. So it's a way to liberate yourself as a person in the classroom to have those other three things. If you have knowledge, you're clear, and you're organized, then you can be warm. To me, that's really the essence of teaching. Like, if you can be yourself, if you can be like a human being, you don't have to be like icy or like an authority, that's really great for everybody. One of the most interesting things about teaching is that the classes themselves have personalities that you can almost, you just have no idea exactly why it works the way it does, but they're very distinct. And it's not just from school to school, it's also class to class. It's just that group of people and their dynamics. I think one of the things students don't know is this, and I didn't know this when I was a student. What students don't know is that if we're in a room and I'm the teacher, there will very often be like personalities who will just present themselves right up front. They'll talk a lot, they'll be sort of very present in the room. And if you're one of the quieter people, you'll think to yourself, like, maybe the professor's not even aware of me. And it's, generally speaking, that's absolutely not true. So from my point of view, what's really interesting is that there might be somebody like over here, and they are always sort of adding something. And over there might be a quiet person. But the truth is, I'd say almost universally, I'm absolutely aware of what that person's actually doing. Even though we aren't looking at each other and talking all the time, I'll just notice. It's like I know that I'll know if they're working really hard. I'll know if they're interested in what's being presented. I'll know if they're not. For the person over there, they'll tell you things with their body language. They'll tell you something with the work itself that they're turning in. You'll learn about them from the way that they interact with their neighbors. But then I'll see how they interact with other people, and I can really know a lot about them based on their other relationships. It doesn't mean I interfere at all, but you get a picture of who they are, what they're doing, and how things are going for them. Well, in general, I mean, our students here are cool. I mean, they're great. What makes me feel good is if I see them functioning in the community and they're getting better. That's amazing. Like, I'll see somebody who's brand new and they make a big step forward, or they get into a program, or they make a good film, and that's my job, right? But to be honest with you, my motivation when I teach is that I think, well, I used to be in the chair at a community college in San Diego, and I wish that I could have gotten from there to here in a more direct way, with really more quality information. I'm certain that I'm a much better filmmaker because I started teaching. And the reason for that isn't philosophical, it's practical. It's because I could go to grad school and someone shows you something or tells you something, and you're like, oh, okay. And then maybe you practice it once in one of your films. And then that thing may kind of go dormant in your brain. And you come into a classroom and you think to yourself, well, I want to teach this idea that I learned, but now I have to totally re-examine and ask myself, how can I understand this better for myself so I can communicate it better. And in that process of doing that, I have to completely re-examine the idea. And I might present it a totally new way that I didn't get it. And so that means that just by doing that, that skill gets a little bit deeper. I actually, like, when I think of my career, I think sometimes like, well, I don't really know what'll happen with the film part, like making films, but if Steven Spielberg called, he's not, but if he called, and he wanted me to make a movie, that'd be great. But I'm certain that eventually I'd circle back to teaching. You do a project, and you can bring that experience back to a classroom, and that experience gets better because of it. You also get to examine the experience. And then you're sort of in a weird way still practicing film, because the two things, they go in a perfect circle.